Let's stop pretending. Cheating doesn't just happen. It builds, slowly, like a quiet storm you thought would pass, until one day everything's broken, and you don't even know how it got this far. But here's the truth, no one tells you. A woman who cheats always leaves signs. Not maybe, always. The problem? Most men don't want to see them. They feel something's off, but they silence that voice. They make excuses. She's just tired. She's just stressed. She needs some space. But deep down, you know. And if you've ever felt like something wasn't right, but couldn't explain it, this is for you. Because she didn't just cheat on the day she crossed a line. She cheated the moment she stopped choosing you. Let's break it down. Sign 1, she stops being present. She still sits beside you. She still nods when you talk. She still says, "I love you" before bed. But something's missing. You feel it. Not in what she says, but in what she no longer feels. She doesn't ask how your day was. She forgets things you told her just yesterday. She used to smile with her whole face. Now it barely reaches her eyes. She used to listen with curiosity. Now it feels like she's just waiting for you to finish. You look at her, hoping to see that spark. But her eyes, they're far away. Like she's thinking of someone else, or somewhere else she'd rather be. And when you finally bring it up, she brushes it off. You're overthinking. You're just being insecure. I've been tired lately. But don't let the excuses fool you. Because when a woman stops being emotionally present, it's not by accident. It's not a phase. It's a shift. Her energy is moving. Her attention is leaving. And where her attention goes, her heart follows. You're still in the room together, but she left a long time ago. Now, you're just the last one to notice. Sign 2. Her phone becomes a secret. It used to be simple. She'd sit beside you, scrolling, laughing, sharing random things from her phone. No tension, no walls, just normal, open energy. But now, the phone is always face down, always locked, always in her hand, even in moments that used to be private and peaceful. She tilts the screen away when you walk by. She smiles at messages you don't see. And if you reach for it, even by accident, she tenses up like you touched something sacred. You're not imagining things. You're not being insecure. You're picking up the truth her words won't say. She's hiding something. And it's not just a message or a name. She's hiding where her heart has started to drift. And when you ask, when you try to understand, she flips it. You don't trust me. You're acting jealous. You're always overthinking. But that's not love. That's deflection. That's emotional manipulation. Because when someone has nothing to hide, they don't treat your curiosity like a threat. So don't doubt your gut. The phone didn't change. She did. And the more she hides it, the more you realize she's already sharing pieces of herself where you're not invited. Sign 3. The intimacy changes. The hardest part about this kind of shift is that it doesn't scream. It doesn't slam the door or leave a note. It whispers. Software slow, silent. And by the time you notice it, it's already been happening for a while. She still kisses you. She still lies next to you in bed. She still reaches out for your hand when you're walking through a crowd. But something's off. Something's missing. Her touch is there, but her presence isn't. She hugs you, but it's quick now, like she's doing it out of habit. She kisses you, but there's no pause, no pull, no feeling behind it. It's like pressing play on a song you used to love, but now the lyrics feel hollow. She says, "I love you," but it doesn't land the same. It doesn't settle in your chest the way it used to. Because deep down, you can feel she doesn't feel it anymore. At first, you tell yourself it's stress. Maybe work has been rough. Maybe she's going through something. But then more things start to change. One night she turns away, says she's not in the mood. Another night she's suddenly very interested, overly interested. She's trying new things in bed, being extra loud, extra involved. But it doesn't feel passionate. It feels forced, scripted, like a scene she's playing out to prove something, to you or to herself. Instead of feeling closer, it feels colder, like you're kissing someone through glass. You're right there, but it still feels like you're reaching, and she's somewhere else. You start to question yourself. Did I mess up? Am I not attractive anymore? Am I too much? Not enough? But that voice inside you, the one that always knows, keeps whispering, it's not you. It's where her heart is going. You see, real intimacy is never about how often. It's about how deep. It's about emotional safety, connection, energy, not just skin touching skin, but soul meeting soul. And when her soul starts drifting, her body becomes a stranger. She's there, but only partly. She's going through the motions, but the emotion is gone. You feel it after. When she rolls over and grabs her phone, when she avoids eye contact, when she gets dressed without a word, when she touches you less and explains it with, I'm just tired. She doesn't have to say it. Her silence says enough. Her distance speaks louder than any excuse she gives. You try to hold her, and she pulls away. Not in a dramatic way, but just enough to make your chest tighten. Just enough for your body to know something your mind isn't ready to accept. She's already left. Not physically, not yet, but emotionally, she's gone. And that does something to a man. It makes you start second-guessing yourself. It makes you feel like a burden in the one place you used to feel safe. It makes you dread the very thing that once brought you peace. You don't stop loving her, you just stop feeling loved by her, and that's even more painful. And sometimes, she'll sense that you're starting to notice. So she overcorrects. She becomes overly affectionate, overly giving, overly present. But it's not real presence, it's guilt. It's her trying to make up for what her heart already knows. It's her trying to hide the cracks with roses. But no matter how beautiful the gesture, you feel the truth under it. A performance can only go on for so long. Eventually the mask slips, and when it does, you see that she's been gone for a while. So you start to dread intimacy, not because you stopped loving her, but because every touch now reminds you of how much she's changed, how far away she feels, how close she used to be. No one prepares you for that. No one warns you how lonely it can feel to be this close to someone you love and still feel like you're reaching for a ghost. This is how the connection dies. Not with a scream, but with silence. Not with betrayal in bed, but with the slow fade of presence, emotion, effort. You won't need to check her messages. You won't need to track her phone, because when intimacy changes like this, when her energy shifts, when her heart disappears, you don't need proof. You already feel the goodbye. And it's happening right in front of you, without a single word. Sign 4, she starts picking fights. At first, it feels small. She's irritated over little things. You didn't load the dishwasher the way she likes. You forgot to reply to a text while you were working. You came home late because traffic was bad. She sighs. She gives you attitude. Maybe she even goes silent for the rest of the night. You tell yourself, it's just stress. She's tired. It'll pass. But then it doesn't. Suddenly, everything becomes a trigger. The things she used to laugh off now turn into full-blown arguments. You say something simple, something harmless, something you've said 100 times before, and now she's angry, cold, accusing. She doesn't just raise her voice. She raises doubts. Do you even care about me? You don't listen. You always make it about yourself. You walk into the room and feel the tension before she says a word. You don't know what set her off, but somehow, you're the enemy. You're constantly confused. Every step feels like it might set off a mine. You hold back your thoughts. You tiptoe around her moods. You're trying so hard to keep things calm, but the fights keep showing up anyway, louder, more frequent, and increasingly disconnected from reality. You forgot to take out the trash. Now she's talking about how you don't support her dreams. You asked a simple question. Now she's accusing you of trying to control her. And you're left standing there, speechless, wondering what just happened. Wondering when love turned into landmines. Wondering how the smallest slip became a reason for her to explode. But here's what's really going on. It's not about the trash. It's not about the text. It's not about the glass on the table. It's about her. She's pulling away. She's emotionally detaching. And deep down, she knows it. But instead of facing that truth, she redirects the tension outward, toward you, toward the relationship. Because if she admits she's slipping, then she has to take responsibility for the emotional gap she's creating. And that's hard, that's uncomfortable. So she rewrites the story. She paints you as inattentive. She labels you as cold. She creates chaos so she can justify her growing distance. Because if you're the problem, then she doesn't have to be the one who's leaving. She can say, I had no choice. I was unhappy. He wasn't what I needed. But you were, and she knows that. The truth is, the arguments aren't about resolution. They're not even about you. They're about control, about guilt, about emotional exit strategy. Because every fight is another crack she can point to. Every conflict is another reason she can use later when someone asks, what happened between you two? And you start doubting yourself. You start believing maybe you were too distracted. Maybe you did fail her. So you try harder. You listen more. You walk more carefully. You apologize more often, even when you don't know what you did. But nothing changes, because she doesn't want peace. She wants out. She's not arguing to heal. She's arguing to justify the emotional distance she's already created. She might cry. She might storm out. She might accuse you of things that feel unfair and exaggerated. But listen, she's not crying because you hurt her. She's crying because the guilt is too loud. And instead of looking inward, she projects it outward. She's trying to convince herself that she's the one who's hurt, so she doesn't have to admit that she's the one causing the hurt. And it breaks you, because no matter how much love you give, no matter how careful you are, no matter how much of yourself you pour in, it's like trying to fix a crack in glass with your bare hands. The more pressure you apply, the more it cuts you. And soon enough, you're not just fighting with her, you're fighting with your own mind. Wondering if you're the villain in a story you never meant to be part of. Wondering when love turned into something that made you feel small, silent, and constantly wrong. But here's what you have to remember. These fights are not random. They're not emotional accidents. They're exits disguised as arguments. They are attempts to create distance, to spark resentment, to make the breakup feel like it was your fault. So stop trying to win arguments that were never meant to be fair. Stop fixing things she's breaking on purpose. Stop apologizing for simply existing. Because no matter how much you love someone, you can't stop them from leaving, especially if they already left in their heart. And no matter how badly you want to hold on, you will lose yourself in the process if you keep trying to calm a storm that was never yours to control. Let her be angry, let her blame, let her walk. But you hold your ground. You protect your peace. You stop defending yourself against someone who has already decided to go. Because when fights become a pattern, when love starts sounding like war, it's not about misunderstanding. It's about emotional exit. And if she's picking battles instead of building with you, she's not trying to grow, she's trying to go. Sign 5. Her future doesn't include you anymore. There was a time when everything felt ours. You talked about your dreams like they were one big dream. You planned your weekends, your years, your future like it was both of you against the world. She used to say things like, when we get our place, or when we start a family, or one day, when it's us. And it wasn't just the big things. It was the little ones too. What to make for dinner, what series to start next, what to do for your next anniversary. every decision, every idea, every silly plan. It always included you. But now, something's shifted, and she didn't announce it. She just quietly stopped including you. She still talks about the future, yes, but now it's her future, not yours. You hear it in the way she says, "I've been thinking of traveling. I want to move somewhere new. I need to figure out who I am right now. I think I just need space to grow." And at first, you want to be supportive. You tell yourself people evolve. She's going through something. She's just trying to find herself, and that's okay. But the more you listen, the more you realize you're no longer part of her vision. She's making plans, but not with you. She's imagining a life of possibilities, and you're not in the picture. She used to say, "we." Now, it's only me. And when you gently try to step into those conversations, when you say, "That sounds amazing, let's do it together," she pulls back. She gets quiet. She shifts the topic. She says you're overthinking, being too much, too intense. But your gut knows better. It knows this isn't about being intense. It's about being excluded. Because what she's really doing is planning her exit. Not loudly, not harshly, just quietly, subtly, in a way that's easy to deny, easy to dismiss, but impossible to ignore if you're paying attention. You try to bring her back into the us. You suggest a weekend away. She says she's got too much going on. You talk about moving forward together. She says she's not ready. You ask where the relationship is going. She says she doesn't know, but she does know. She just doesn't want to say it out loud, because saying it would make it real. And that's the part she's not brave enough to face yet. The truth that she's already halfway gone. So instead, she lets the silence do the talking. She lets the distance speak for her. She lets her hesitation answer the questions she won't. And the most painful part, you're still holding on. Still hoping, still planning, still thinking this is just a rough patch you'll both work through. But she's already moved on, in her heart, in her mind, in her dreams. She lies next to you in bed, but her back is always turned. She eats dinner with you, but her mind is somewhere else. You laugh and she smiles, but it's empty. You reach out and she's already emotionally gone. You start to feel like a ghost in your own relationship. Invisible, uninvited, unnecessary. It's not confusion. It's not miscommunication. It's your heart feeling the truth your brain doesn't want to accept yet. She's already left. Not physically, not yet, but emotionally, spiritually, she's gone. And here you are, trying to build something on your end while she's slowly tearing it down on hers. You're making space for her in your future. She's making space for herself in a life without you. You're choosing togetherness. She's choosing freedom. You're hoping for her return. She's planning her release. And that doesn't just hurt. It shatters you, because you realize the love you thought was shared, the dreams you thought were mutual, the life you thought you were creating together, it was only ever real to you. That's not partnership. That's pretending. That's not mutual growth. That's quiet separation dressed up as self-discovery. So what do? You stop chasing her future. You stop trying to insert yourself into plans you were never truly part of. You stop begging for space in a story she's already rewriting without your name. Because sometimes the hardest kind of goodbye is the one that's never said, the one written in silence, in distance, in the absence of we. So if you feel like you're still holding on while she's slowly slipping away, you're not crazy. You're just the last one still trying. And it's time to stop, because love should feel like home, not like you're trying to convince someone to let you stay. She's already walking away, and you're just the last one who hasn't stopped following. Now listen carefully. If she's showing you these signs, don't beg, don't plead. Don't let your dignity bleed out in front of someone who's already emotionally walking away. You weren't made to chase. You weren't built to be a backup plan for someone who can't decide if you're enough. You are not a stand-in. You are not a placeholder while she figures out if the grass is greener somewhere else. If she's already halfway gone, no amount of convincing will bring her back, because someone who truly sees you doesn't need to be reminded of your worth. Cheating doesn't start with another body. It starts with a shift in presence, a change in energy, a slow turning of the heart away from you and towards something else. It starts when the way she looks at you changes, when the warmth in her voice fades, when the joy in your conversations gets replaced with silence, sarcasm, or short answers. It starts when she stops sharing the little things. What made her laugh today, what stressed her out, what she dreamed of last night. That may not sound like cheating to some people, but if you've been in love, you know. You know that betrayal begins the moment your connection is no longer safe, sacred, or shared. Because love is not just presence, it's energy. And when that energy starts pouring into someone else, when her thoughts, her attention, her excitement begin to orbit something outside of you, the relationship starts to wither. And the worst part, she probably won't admit it. She won't say, "I've stopped caring." She won't say, "I'm thinking about someone else." She won't say, "I checked out months ago." But her actions will. Her silence will. Her distance will. Her indifference will. And I know you saw it. You felt it. You saw how her affection changed, how her eyes stopped lighting up when she looked at you, how her tone got colder, her patience thinner, her touch less frequent. You noticed how she stopped saying "we" and started saying "me." How she stopped planning with you and started avoiding the future entirely. But you didn't want to believe it, because belief means acceptance, and acceptance means heartbreak. So you told yourself stories to protect your heart. She's just going through something. She's stressed. She needs space. And maybe those things were true for a while. But deep down, you knew the real reason. She's pulling away. And what hurts the most is that you kept showing up. You kept loving. You kept giving her more of yourself, hoping it would pull her closer. But love given to someone who's already gone doesn't bring them back. It just leaves you emptier. You didn't miss the signs. You just weren't ready to face them. But now you see them. And once you see clearly, there's no going back. You can't unfeel being unloved. You can't pretend the silence didn't echo. You can't go back to the days when her presence felt full, because now you know what it feels like when it's hollow. So what do? You stop chasing her potential. You stop clinging to a version of her that no longer exists. You stop loving on borrowed time, hoping she'll one day return to what you had. You let go. Not because you didn't care, but because you cared too much to keep begging for breadcrumbs. Because the kind of love that makes you question your worth is not love, it's survival. You walk away with your head high, with your spine straight, not to punish her, not to make a point, but to finally choose yourself again, because your peace matters, your soul matters, your dignity matters. You don't dim your light to stay in someone's shadow. You don't shrink to fit into a heart that's no longer holding space for you. She made her choice, not all at once, but in small daily ways that added up to distance, to silence, to detachment. And you noticed. You saw it. You just didn't want to accept it. But now it's your turn to choose, not her, you. You choose healing. You choose stillness. You choose the quiet strength of not reacting, of not lashing out, of not trying to force a love that no longer flows. And in time, you'll realize something powerful. The one who walks away isn't always the strong one. Sometimes it's the one who stayed loyal, the one who kept loving even when it hurt, the one who finally let go, not out of weakness but out of wisdom. That's the one who rises. And that can be you. So what do you do now? You stop waiting for her to come back with the same heart she used to hold for you. You stop sitting in silence, hoping the phone lights up with a message that feels like the old days. You stop hanging your self-worth on every little gesture, every good morning, every smile, every moment of attention she decides to give or withhold. Because deep down, you already know. She stopped choosing you a long time ago. And yes, it hurts. It hurts in the way only silent heartbreak can. Not loud, not explosive, just a slow, aching absence that creeps in between all the things you used to share. You gave her your time, your trust, your tenderness, and somehow she started treating it like it didn't matter, like you didn't matter. But pretending everything's fine hurts even more than the truth, because you can lie to your mind, but your heart always knows. You can't rebuild something she's already walked away from. You can't fight for closeness when the other person is clinging to distance. You can't knock forever on a door that was closed quietly and locked emotionally while you were still trying to keep it open. So, what now? You don't beg for scraps of affection. You don't keep adjusting who you are just to match a version she might want again. That's not love. That's self-abandonment. And a man who knows his worth doesn't perform for approval. He doesn't plead to be kept. He stands still, he steps back, and he protects his peace like his life depends on it. Because emotionally, it does. You don't need to yell. You don't need to slam doors or throw blame to prove a point. You don't need to compete with whoever or whatever her attention is drifting toward. That's not your battle. Real strength isn't in loud reactions. It's in calm decisions. It's looking the storm in the eye and saying, I won't lose myself to someone who already lost me. You stay grounded. You stay steady, even as everything inside you feels like it's falling apart. Because dignity isn't found in how loudly you fight to stay. It's found in how silently you walk away when staying would cost you your soul. Love shouldn't make you anxious. You shouldn't have to decode mixed signals or question if you're enough. You shouldn't be lying in bed at night wondering why the person next to you feels so far away. And when she blames you because she might, when she says you were distant, difficult, or too intense, let her. Let her create whatever narrative she needs to ease her guilt. But you hold your truth close. You know what you gave. You know how deeply you loved. You know how many times you showed up when you felt invisible. And you know that walking away is not weakness, it's clarity. Because what you're really choosing isn't separation, it's self-respect, it's peace. It's knowing you deserve to be with someone who looks at you and never thinks twice, someone whose energy doesn't come and go like a storm, someone who loves you with presence, not just words, with commitment, not just convenience. So if your heart has been whispering, if your gut has been screaming what your mind keeps trying to silence, listen. That voice inside isn't weakness. It's your intuition. It's your truth. It's your future self saying, you've given enough. Now it's time to give that same love to yourself. This is no longer about her. This is about you, your healing, your growth, your next chapter. So take a deep breath. Let go of the need to explain yourself to someone who stopped listening. Let the distance between you be a door to your own return. Because when the signs are clear, you don't fight them, you honor them, you act on them, you walk, not with anger, not with revenge, but with dignity. Because a Stoic man doesn't cling to chaos. He doesn't chase fading light. He honors what was, accepts what is, and leaves space for what will be. So if this hits you where you've been hurting, if some part of you has known it's time to stop clinging and start healing, comment clarity and hit subscribe. Because here, we don't chase love that confuses us. We don't beg to stay where we're shrinking. We don't break ourselves just to keep someone else whole. We protect our peace, we trust our truth, and we rise.